The 3 steps of Monk's guided writing entail the behavior, the feelings, and the appearance of the spider. So what she wanted us students to do is she wanted them to see different components of one single subject so that their writing would be broad. So she had students, her suggestion of starting a guided writing procedure with students is to pick out an object to put it in the center because, like I said, she believes in images being portrayed for students so that they see visually what they're working on. And then she labeled this chart in saying behavior, feelings, and appearance, and had students help her come up with each of these. And the ones that she had said students came up with was for behavior. She said that spiders make spider webs. Some of them are poisonous, they live on the web, they wait for their enemies, and they carry food around. For feelings, she said that her students gave her answers such as, they scare me, I get sad when I see a spider, I'm frightened, I'm happy, I like them, or I'm upset. And some of the appearance that the students said is that they look like a peanut, that they're 8 legs, some of them have dots, they crawl, they have 2 fangs. So when she put this up for her students, this was all part of step 1 of gathering the information of the guided reading. Remember I said the 3 steps. This is all step 1. Step 2 is to guide the formation of sentences, to guide the writing. Okay, so what she would do is she would encourage students to take a component, take an aspect of each one of these components and put them into a sentence. And some of the 2 sample sentences that her students came up with were, spiders scare me because they have 8 legs. Spiders make me upset when they crawl and make spider webs. So she had them take pieces and pieces and put them together, and she did this with them. She encouraged them and she wrote it, and this is how you're guiding them. You're saying, okay, somebody pick something from section 1, somebody pick something from section 2, somebody pick something from section 3. How can we put this sentence together? Okay, so this is the guided writing aspect. The final aspect of this guided writing approach is called work with the writing. Work the writing that you have in front of you. And work the writing that you have in front of you means that you actually look at the syntax. You'll break down the sentence for the students to help with their writing skills. So you may stop them and say, hey Johnny, why is the S capitalized in this sentence? You would want them to understand that we start all sentences with a capital letter. Why is there an exclamation mark? How is that read differently than if there was a question mark? What is being said here? You can even start teaching them pronouns like me, you, I. It's never too young to start children in understanding subject and predicate. And you tailor it for their age, and you want them to learn the different components and aspects of each sentence. And then you would, tell them the difference between the period and the exclamation mark, and point out the subject as the spider, and refer back to the chart and how we keep the subject in the center of our chart. These are all just little components of teaching them to focus on the complete thought of a sentence and having them look at the grammar aspect of the sentence, which we first avoided in our free writing exercise. So that is the 3rd step of our workshop, and that's getting students to write what to write, the reason for writing. And I say that because a lot of times students need to know why. And I know 2 of the 3 of you have children, so you know that when you had children and they were growing up, they would, you would tell them you need to take a bath. And the first thing out of their mouth is why? Why do I need to take a bath? Why do I need to go to bed? Why are we going to grandma's house? They're very curious at this young age, and we often provide them with answers when we're not stressed out and just say, because I said so. We'll give them an answer. Well, you need to be clean. Well, you need to visit with your grandmother. She loves you. You give them this reason. So for the exercise that we just went over, we were answering that question, why. We were showing them why they need that complete thought, why they're writing, and the purpose for their writing, and that we're guiding them to write for a reason. Okay, so in moving on, I just want to talk and sum up our 3 steps and how they increase writing. All three of the aspects we went over in writing did not deal with any form of comprehension in reading. We did not read something first and respond. Typically, a lot of elementary school teachers will do that. They'll read a book either with the class or have students read a book and respond. Or they'll use the guided reading questions at the end of a text and say, okay, how did you feel about this? What could, Susie have done different in the story? That's all writing through reading. There's very little writing that stands alone, like I've been saying throughout this professional development. So the three activities that I had showed you focuses on writing without that reading component. And sometimes when you narrow in on something that's less complicated than a two-step process, students are able to concentrate solely on that, and it actually will enhance that component of literacy. So that was what our hopes were for that. To brush upon further why this is important and why we're looking at this form of professional development, even in stepping away from just the demographics of Maple Avenue. I want to just bring in some other research. Stacy McAuliffe, she's an educational writer that talks about writing a lot, and her biggest claim, which is important here in this research, is that writing improves reading when it stands alone. That's when it best improves reading, I should say. And she says the reason for that is when writers write, they're actually practicing these following components that are really important: voice, expression, grammar, narration, composition, structure, and even research. So she's saying that by writing alone, you are enhancing a child's comprehension, vocabulary in their reading aspects outside of the writing process. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to tackle the reading problems through a different route of writing. And Marvin Kleen wrote an article called Teaching Writing in Elementary Grades. And he says that writing is way more important than serving as just a response. Writing has a tendency to promote cognitive growth. And it actually serves as a form of transformation and a big form of expression, which is really important in a reader's mind. You need to have a form of expression. You need to have some sort of feelings attached to what you're reading and questioning attached to what you're reading. So this could have been a possible issue with Newark and a lot of their low test scores, that there wasn't that emphasis on the importance of writing at all in what they were doing to promote their literacy skills. Kleen's made a great suggestion that I think would work well with you guys and all teachers of all grade levels. He suggests to have a set of index cards in your classroom. You can make them big posters on the wall if you want. And to have on each index card a different type of writing, something for an explanation. You want an informative writing, an expression, persuasive, and entertainment. So you would have an index card that says persuasive, that says entertainment, that says informational. And underneath each one of those categories, you would have subtopics of how you taught students to use that type of writing. This is both for you and your students. It's a reminder for students of the different types of writing. And it's also for you to make sure, even when you have further professional development meetings or an observation or parents or even your own self, you can refer to that and say, even at a young age, we're working on the different types of writings to help build their reading skills so they can identify what they're reading and what type of reading it is. And now you may think, okay, well, I teach first grade, for instance. How are my first grade students going to know a persuasive essay? Well, how am I going to get my first grade students to even write a persuasive essay when they're just learning to write? That's a good question. But according to Kleen, my new favorite quote, he says, "The purpose of writing holds for all writers regardless of age. Beginner writers employ writing for the purposes as do older children and adults. It's only sophistication that differs." So he's saying that all children can write in all different forms. It'll just differ in topic and in how they express it and to the form in which they express it. So he believes a child at a first, second, third grade level can write a persuasive essay. Now they may be writing about why they should have 2 pieces of candy before going to bed instead of 1, when a high school or secondary student would write about how abortion should be illegal. So the topics will differ in, and also the writing and the style will differ, but it's never too young to start your students in understanding the difference between these major components of writing. And he suggests that teachers at this level start that now. So these workshops will help to prepare these young writers to become professional writers even at a young age. and to work on their performance and their preparation for building their literacy skills. So now that we know why we should implement these strategies and how we can go about doing it, we need to now look at how we're going to assess this, how we're going to see if this is going to promote a change, how we can fit it into the budget, what our future professional development will look like. So a big suggestion that I always turn to that I think would work great with all of you, and even in different school districts with different types of students, when you're promoting writing activities, it would be wise to keep portfolios. I'm a big believer of portfolios. I think portfolios, I've been talking about how students are curious and what they want to know, and I think students are also curious in how they're progressing and what is expected of them, as are adults, parents, and administrators. So it's important for teachers to help students at this young age develop portfolios in this writing process. So as you go through doing strategies such as these, build folders for students, and it could be fun. You know, you can make them colorful, have them decorate their portfolios, and just add pieces of writing in there so that they can start to see how they progress and how they started with just one sentence or a free write and turned it into a really organized paragraph. Moving on from there, I want to talk about a possible suggestion that would help to implement all of these strategies into any district and into any instruction. So what I would find is that, what I did find was, without looking at it, hiring any additional staff, Newark made it difficult for me to understand exactly how many specialists or special ed teachers they even have in their district, because like I said, the budget's pretty low and the ESL and population is very low. So I thought, okay, let me just look with what we can build as teachers here and not look at what additional staff we can add. What can we do right now as teachers? And I came across a program called Write Steps. And I don't know, has anybody heard of Write Steps?
I've heard of it. I have, since I'm starting, I don't know if they're using it or not, but I've heard of it.
You've heard of it?
No, I haven't heard of it.
You haven't heard of it? No, you haven't heard of it. Okay, well, Write Steps is actually an online program. I like to call it a big, huge file. It was created by a bunch of elementary teachers that came together and wanted pretty much the same thing I'm trying to do here. They wanted to promote writing on its own. And they came up with all of these different aspects of writing, the importance of it in similar ways that I have. And they created this program that's fully technology based. It's an online program, and it's step-by-step lesson plans, minute-by-minute activities. And what's really cool about it is it tracks writing assessment. There's different graphs that you can download and different categories online that are similar to a hands-on portfolio. And what's nice about this program is you can print worksheets from it, group activities, all sorts of things. So you can bring it to your classroom even if the technology was not available, because I'm not sure of the technology in your district, but Newark does have smart boards in the school that I'm looking at, and they do have internet and computer access, which is all that's needed. The program does come with additional school supplies that are needed within the classroom, but that's part of the package of the program. So I looked into how that would help teachers because, like I said, it tracks assessment for them, and it encourages different types of portfolios. It provides them with numerous lessons that go beyond these basic lessons that I provided for you. And it tweaks them per grade level and per month. So you are seeing and promoting a change and not repeating the same level of difficulty for your students. Now, I looked at the budget for this program, and it seems reasonable. I figured out the math, and it came out to be $170 per teacher for a 4-year subscription. But what I'm looking at here is that since the program is tailored for 1st through 3rd grade, you really would only need to purchase the program for in this school only like 6 teachers, and it would be a 4-year subscription. Another thing that I looked at was this program comes with a worry-free 30-day trial, which I thought would be an excellent idea because we have in there that in the worry-free trial that you can perform a professional development with the teachers, and that 30-day trial, if anything, could give you ideas on how to further promote writing. So the budget for Newark, they actually spend $22,000 $201 per pupil in exponentials. 51% of that goes to instruction, 46% on support services, and only 3% on secondary and elementary exponentials. So I would suggest that I have no experience in budgeting whatsoever, but if they could tweak these numbers and possibly move them around a bit, even lower some of the reading programs to promote writing programs, it'll balance the literacy instruction. I think they could possibly get away with including this into their budget. For a possible timeline of going over these steps, if I were implementing this into my classroom and I were having you guys bring this into your classroom, I would suggest starting small with these activities, have them just free write, and then from there you can include sentences, further build, turn it into group work, and obviously professional development would be needed on a week basis, bringing in portfolios, testing assessments, having teacher observations. A lot of collaboration is needed in the writing process. It's a very complicated process, but as long as it's consistent and is brought each week with increasing difficulty, students should be able to progress with all literacy skills. And we would eventually want to bring in the speaking and listening aspects as well, have them present some of their writing, switch it up, go through the index cards of moving down the different types of writing, have them present with that, whether with a partner, whether in small groups, what have you in your own classroom. So just in summing up everything that we've done, I just have a short minute or two for review and reflection. If you guys have any questions, I just want to know, I'm curious from different school districts how you feel this may work in your program, how bringing in some direct writing activities in promoting reading may work for you guys, and if you have any questions about that.
I don't have a question, I have a statement. I'm greatly impressed with the information. Certainly wish it had been available to me during my working years.
Like Right Steps and some of the...
Yes.
That's good to know. Yeah, it's definitely, as technology increases, more and more activities and strategies are coming forth. So then, do you guys have any questions or comments?
No, like I actually think I want to implement something like this. I like the free writing and the creative writing, and to do that in the classroom, when I start this year, I think it'd be a really good idea.
And it serves as a great icebreaker too, as a new teacher and new students. Yeah, definitely. And like I said before, just to sum up everything, these activities can truly be tailored to every district, and it really helps with ESL students, especially if you incorporate some type of images into this more, and videos, and you bring in more technology. Having hands-on experience and breaking down the writing strategy into different aspects will help them to better understand the process, and bringing in the group work and the images, and you can bring in diversity as well. Okay, so thank you guys very much for sharing this presentation with me, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Enjoyed it.